Welcome to the Redlands Coast Business Show, a naturally wonderful place to live and a great place to do business. Featuring local business successes and visionaries, bringing tips, tricks and inspiration to you. The podcast that embraces your local business community. And here's your host, Tony Curl.
Hey there, and welcome to this introductory episode of the Redlands Coast Business Show. This episode precedes our launch and endeavours to set the concept of the podcast and the basic fabric, I suppose, the purpose of why we're here. Hi, I'm Tony Curl, and I'm the host of the Redlands Coast Business Show. I'm a local that's lived in the Redlands since 1994. And I've operated a business here in Redland City on the Redlands Coast since 2013. I'm a passionate supporter of local business and have been on the executive committee of the Redland City, now the Redlands Coast Chamber of Commerce, for the last 5 years, holding the position of Vice President for the last 3 years. I've been privileged to have worked alongside three great presidents, Gary Hargraves initially, Lynn Sturgis, and now we have Rebecca Young. Outstanding leaders in their own right and amazing champions of the Redlands business community. Now, this podcast is about me putting my money where my mouth is, creating a valuable resource for advice and inspiration by speaking with local business champions and success stories and helping be an advocate for the Redlands Coast business community. You'll hear these interviews. You'll hear from these interviews great tips, advice, inspiring stories, and along the way, we'll challenge the status quo. I have a huge belief that we use global platforms to create local connections, and once again, this is part of the reason behind this podcast. So many people would be saying, Tony, you're limiting the success of your podcast by creating that local community feel. But that's exactly the reason why it's here. Technology can still be a success if we serve a community or a target customer base. Our ideas of success have been skewed based on the mammoth global success stories we hear about, the Googles, the Apples, the Facebooks. But our success will be measured on our relevance to the local business community. And as I like to think, local footprint with a global imprint. Redlands is accepted and has a history of being accepted as a commuter suburb, a dormitory suburb for surrounding regions like Brisbane and Logan. And some of our stats absolutely support this. And I'll be sharing through this Redlands Coast Business Show, we'll be sharing some of the stats that are readily available for you and your business. We are blessed with some amazing natural landscapes. We have the bay, we have the islands, and we have a unique hinterland experience. In today's world, we have a choice of where we live because we can do business anywhere through technology. We have a village concept in our suburbs, but we have greater capacity to create soul and community. Our business community is supportive and nurturing, and at times our political will is fragmented and disjointed. This podcast aims to support the business community, highlighting the benefits of business on the coast, as well as reflecting the challenges that are faced. You will hear from visionaries. You'll hear from businesses, from startups to award-winning, nationally recognized businesses, all with stories to inspire and all that can help you in your business journey. Now, my association with the Redlands, I moved here in 1994, but it didn't just come in 1994 when we moved here. My first touch of the Redlands was way earlier than that. It was in 1984 when I first worked in the Redland Shire, as it was known then, and I was a trainee manager with the Kmart at Capalaba. Now, I've met so many people through the Redlands that remember me working at the Kmart at Capalaba, and many of the most influential people here in the Redlands, e.g. our current Mayor Karen Williams, was actually a disciple of working for Kmart. She actually worked at Kmart in her younger days. I was one of a large number of workers that came into Redlands every day to work, passing an even larger number of Redlanders heading out of the city to work. I stayed at Capalaba for just over a year and building a connection with the place. So when in 1994 I was looking for a place to live with my wife as we transferred from Townsville, we chose the Redlands. For many years in the retail game, I became one of the many who lived here and travelled away for work. However, I do have pride in the local gigs that I did have. I was the opening complex manager for the Bunnings at Victoria Point. We opened that store in 2005. And then I took up the same role, the complex manager role, at the Capalaba store for Bunnings for 18 months before once again getting a promotion that put me in that tidal flow of workers that head out of the region every day. Redland City businesses. Let's talk about our successes. And I'm sure that we won't shy away from our challenges. We have the potential to create a community that supports and builds its own. It employs its own. It teaches its own and nurtures its own. We have the opportunity to create a local footprint but have an amazing global imprint. Local footprint, global imprint. Now, if you want to be part of the podcast, please subscribe, share, and listen in. Every guest we will have on will provide great value and give you the opportunity to connect with them to build your network. And if you want to be a guest on the show, you're absolutely invited. Or would you, if you'd like to recommend someone to be a guest on the show, once again, absolutely invited. All you have to do is simply visit redlandscoastbusiness.com.au. That URL again, it's redlandscoastbusiness.com.au, and make contact through the contact form there. I hope that the purpose of this podcast resonates with you, and I can count on you being a loyal advocate and listener. We launch next week with a great chat with one of the most passionate advocates of Redland Coast business community you are ever likely to hear. And I hope that our interviews and our guests will ensure that you tune in weekly. Thanks for listening today, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Redlands Coast Business Show. We hope you found it a valuable resource for you and your business journey. Tune in next time for more local business stories. We'll see you then.